You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today's episode 407, what to let go of before 2026, and why it's the best gift you can give yourself. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. This is our last episode of 2026, and my guess is your head is on a few things: closing out the year, looking forward to 2026, the holidays are fast approaching, and that is exactly why I created this episode for you today. Because everyone is talking about their 2026 goals. But what if the most powerful thing you can do right now is let go? Because I want you to stick around in today's episode. I am walking you through what to release, both internally and externally, so you can head into 2026 lighter, clearer, and finally free from the weight that has been holding you back each year when you're setting new goals. And before we jump into all that goodness, I want to invite you to take my Next Level Business Owner quiz. 3 short minutes, find out what's most holding you back from taking your business to the next level. And then I'll send you a curated playlist of specific episodes with actionable strategies you can implement immediately in your business to help you get through those challenges. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now, let's get to the straight talk. It's that time of year again, the time when everyone starts talking about what's next. New goals, new plans, new strategies to grow your business in 2026. And if you're anything like many business owners I know, you're already thinking about what you need to add, what you need to do more of, what you need to start. But here's what I want you to consider today. What if the best year yet doesn't start with adding more? What if it starts with letting go? Sit with that for a second, because I know that might feel counterintuitive. We live in a culture that celebrates more hustle, more offers, more visibility, more revenue. We're constantly told that success comes from stacking, piling on goals, projects, commitments, and responsibilities until our plates are overflowing. But here's what I've learned, both in my own business and from working with hundreds of business owners over the years. The most powerful thing you can do before stepping into the new year isn't adding to your list, it's subtracting from it. Because when you're carrying too much, beliefs that don't serve you, expectations that weigh you down, commitments that have run their course, there's no room for what's next. There's no space for growth. There's no energy left for the things that actually matter. And I just want that message to sit with you for a moment and ask yourself, does that feel true to you? Does it feel right to go into 2026 thinking of all the things you need to do more of and add to your plate when you may be coming to 2026 already weighted down? Now, there is a place for new ideas. There's a place for new goals. There's a place for doing new things. But what I'm here to talk to you about today is, what if that's not the first step? The first step is letting go so that you can add what matters most. Today, I'm going to have a different kind of conversation, not about what to add, but about what to release, what to finally set down, what to stop carrying into 2026. And trust me, it's one of the most freeing things you can do for yourself and your business. And I just want to say this other point too, is that if letting go of something or the idea of letting go of something before adding feels hard or uncomfortable or challenging, I'm actually going to say that I want you to lean into that because it's probably exactly what you need to be doing first. Before you can step into 2026 with clarity and momentum, you have to get honest about what you're carrying. I'm talking about that internal weight, the beliefs that you've held on to for years, the expectations from yourself, from others, from some invisible rule book you didn't even write, and the stories, the ones that keep telling yourself about who you have to be and how hard this is all supposed to feel. Here's what I need you to really understand. This internal weight doesn't just live in your head. It shows up in how you run your business every single day. When you're holding on to beliefs that you've had to do everything yourself, you become the bottleneck. Your client is waiting on a proposal. Your team member needs approval before you can even move forward. You're stuck in the back-to-back calls wondering why nothing progresses without you. Sound familiar? Much of those experiences are rooted in the underlying internal belief that you need to do everything yourself. Or, let's be honest, some version of that, and your version might be different. When you carry the expectation that you should be available 24/7, burnout isn't a possibility, it's inevitable. You're answering emails at your kid's soccer game, you're checking Slack on date nights, and your relationships, both personal and professional, are feeling strained because of this underlying belief that you should be available 24/7 or else. Or else your client won't work with you, or else you'll get fired, or else it'll affect your revenue. There is some sort of expectation that's underlying all of those little micro decisions. When you tell yourself the story that you should have it all figured out by now, then you stop asking for help and you isolate. You make decisions from a place of shame instead of strategy. And you stay stuck in patterns that are not serving you. This internal weight affects how you lead, how you build, the decisions you make about your team, your offers, and your future. And here's what's at stake if you don't release it before the new year. You're going to repeat the same cycles. You're going to face the same challenges. And yes, maybe they're disguised, they look a little different, they're dressed up differently, or perhaps they're just a different flavor of the same challenge. But the same patterns will follow you right into 2026. If any of this sounds familiar, I want you to know you are not alone. I hear this from business owners every single week. Smart, capable, successful business owners who are carrying weight that isn't theirs to carry anymore. So let's get specific. I'm going to walk you through some common beliefs, expectations, and stories that may be weighing you down. And as I share these, just notice which ones land for you, which ones make you pause and think, yeah, that sounds familiar, or I have a variation of that. Which ones sound a little too familiar? Again, we're going to go into this next section of the podcast by observing, noticing, but not judgment. Because if you're in your head judging yourself, you cannot actually hear me. Here are just a few beliefs that might be weighing you down. Are you holding on to the belief that you have to do everything yourself and that no one can do it as well as you can? What about the belief that if you slow down, everything will fall apart? That the business needs you running at full speed to just stay afloat? Or maybe you believe that asking for help means you're not capable, that needing support is a sign of weakness instead of wisdom. And here's one that might hit home for a lot of business owners. I should have figured this out by now. I actually hear this many times through my one-on-one coaching clients, and I am always certain to hear it and not accept it as truth. And what I mean by that is that is a core belief for many business owners. And with that comes self-judgment and shame and embarrassment, and for many, not to even ask the question. And the truth is that I don't care if you've been in business for a day, 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. You're running up against new things all the time. And chances are you were busy figuring out a lot of other stuff. And maybe the thing that you think you should have figured out already wasn't that yet. But I want you to celebrate that if there is something that you are figuring out or need to figure out, that is an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to develop yourself as a business owner. I see it as a good thing. And how about this one, this core belief? Struggle equals success. If it's not hard, if you're not grinding, then you must not be working hard enough. Or maybe you don't think then you deserve it. And so there's self-sabotage if it comes easy. As if ease is somehow not welcomed. An affirmation that I have for myself and that I share with my clients is, let it be easy. It's a good mantra and reminder that when something is easy, we don't need to look at it suspicious. We could really look at it as a gift and say, yeah, let it be easy. Don't fight it. Don't think it should be hard. And don't deny the gift of letting it be easy. Next, let's cover some expectations that we may need to let go of. Are you carrying the expectation that you need to be available around the clock? That being a great business owner means being on call at all hours? Or maybe that because you are a service provider, you think that the only way to give good service is to be available 24/7. What about the expectation that more revenue requires more personal sacrifice? That growth has to cost you something, your time, your health, or your peace. Maybe you're holding on to the expectation that you should have all the answers, that business owners are supposed to know exactly what to do in every situation. And when you don't, do you feel like a fraud? Or perhaps it's the expectation of perfection before action, that everything has to be just right before you launch, before you delegate, before you make a big move, before you ask for that big client or that next client. And that creates a lot of waiting. It's costing you time, momentum, and opportunities. I'm just curious, which of these have been quietly running the show in your business? Next, stories that may no longer serve you. These are the sneakiest because we've told them to ourselves for so long that they actually feel like facts. They feel like truth. Your brain can lie to you. And because you've told these stories over and over again, we almost don't even recognize them as stories. How about stories like, my worth is tied to my productivity. The more I accomplish, the more valuable I am. Slow days? Do slow days make you feel guilty, less than, inadequate, shameful, like you did something wrong? Rest. Rest is something I haven't earned yet. There is always more to do, more to prove, and more before I can take a break. In fact, I hear this often, is that rest feels indulgent. Like indulgent as in you're eating candy or you're eating too much dessert. How can we frame with stories that feel like truth, that tell us that rest is something that you have to earn and it feels indulgent? How about the story that you're not really an expert? Despite years of experience, despite the results you've delivered for your clients, there's still that whisper of imposter syndrome telling you that you don't belong at the table. Another one that is really just like a sister to this one is that you're not a business owner. The story that you're not a real business owner because you didn't what? Go to college for entrepreneurship? Because you don't make X amount of revenue? Because your team doesn't look a certain way? What stories do you have that are making you believe that you are not actually a business owner? And lastly, the story of taking care of yourself means neglecting your business or family. As if a well-being is an option. It's an option on a menu. And that it is this or that, and that is not truly an and. That you can be there for your business, that you can be there for your family, and you can certainly take care of your own well-being. And for me, that's both mental and physical well-being. And here's what I know to be true. These stories shape how you see yourself. And how you see yourself shapes every decision you make in your business. So as you reflect on these beliefs, expectations, and stories, notice which ones hit home, which ones have overstayed their welcome. Because when you release the internal weight, something powerful happens. You get lighter, you get clearer, you open yourself up to beliefs that actually serve you, expectations that align with your life and your business, and a new story, one where success doesn't have to come at the cost of your well-being. And that freedom, that's the freedom that's waiting on the other side of letting go of beliefs, expectations, and stories that are no longer serving you. And now that brings me to our second part of this conversation. We've been talking all about the internal weight, the beliefs, expectations, and stories that live in our heads and shape how we lead our businesses, how we lead our teams, how we lead ourselves. Now I'm going to switch gears outward. Because you're not just carrying internal weight, you're also holding on to external commitments that may have run their course. And I'm talking about the goals, the projects, the services, the people, and the obligations that made sense at one point, but don't anymore. The things you keep doing, keep maintaining, keep saying yes to, not because they're serving you, but because you haven't given yourself permission to let them go. What I want for you is freedom from the things that no longer fit. Holding on to what's misaligned doesn't make you a better business owner. It just keeps you in a stuck version of your business that you've already outgrown and is no longer serving you. So let's walk through some external commitments worth examining as you head into the new year. Are you still chasing goals that are not aligned with your vision of success? They're not aligned with your personal vision of success or your business vision of success. Perhaps you've set goals this year or in the past, and you were setting them based on what they should look like or what you thought they should look like. Or maybe you even have goals that have just rolled over for 2 or 3 years that don't actually excite you anymore. What about those projects? What about those projects that have been sitting half finished? Perhaps they've been sitting half finished for day after day, week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, and yes, in some cases, even year after year. You keep telling yourself that you'll get to it, but deep down, you know it's draining more energy than it's worth. The truth is that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is just call it and move on. Let it go. Making the actual decision to let go of a goal or a project is where the power is at. That's what the key is. That's where you can make the best decision for your business. The most productive decision is actually deciding to delete, let go. How about service offerings and pricing? I want you to take a look at your offers. Is there a service you've kept on the menu because it's always been there, even though you dread delivering it? Perhaps you've made an offering or a service offering that you thought was an amazing idea, and then you delivered it and you're like, it's not profitable. It's not exciting. I don't have the same team that I had that when I created that offering. I've done this. I have so many offers in my archived offers folder on my drive because there has been so many iterations of the service offerings. And that's part of what you need to do to figure out, what do you like doing? What is profitable? What is your team best suited for? But there is going to be a time where you can happily let go of the offerings that no longer serve you and double down on the ones that do. How about your pricing? Does your pricing actually reflect your value? Or are you holding on to rates that you set years ago because raising them feels uncomfortable? Old pricing keeps you overworked, under-earning, overwhelmed, and ultimately facing more immediate financial challenges that always need to be solved for before you can start solving for a lot of the other things that make running your business a lot easier. Next, people. Now, this one can be the hardest, but let's be honest. Is there a team member who isn't the right fit for you anymore or for your business? Someone that you've been holding on to out of guilt, loyalty, or fear of having the hard conversation? What about clients? Are there clients that you have outgrown? Ones that drain your energy, push your boundaries, or aren't simply aligned with the business that you have now or are building into the future? We've all had clients that we outgrew because our business has transformed and changed. How about vendors, partners, collaborators? Are these relationships worth maintaining? Or are you maintaining them out of obligation rather than mutual benefit? Letting go of people doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a leader who's willing to make hard decisions for the health of your business. And I started this one off saying this is one of those hard ones because we lead with heart. We care about people. Oftentimes, our team members become some of the closest people to us because we're with them all the time. But the weight of having people in your business and life that are no longer serving you just because you've already made that decision or because we're avoiding what is perceived a very uncomfortable conversation is not the energy I want for you as you move into 2026. And I will say this quick note because this is a topic that I do talk to a lot of my clients about. Making the decision to let go of somebody doesn't mean you've let go of them. So as you're listening to this, you might think, oh my gosh, Amber, that's horrible. Why would I let go of somebody a couple weeks before the holidays or the end of the year? That's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of power to saying, I've already made the decision that I'm letting go of this person. And now it's about the right timing with what I'm comfortable with as the business owner, what the business needs for coverage. Are you in a place where you can, make that next hire and train that next person? Because if you're not, that's what we want to prioritize so that the timing is ideal for you for various reasons. So this does not mean that you have to let go of somebody before January 1st, not to take this energy into the new year. It could simply mean that you've moved through a decision. The next area I want to cover is commitments and obligations. How many memberships are you paying for that you don't actually use? Subscriptions, networking groups, masterminds that no longer provide value? What about board positions or volunteer commitments you said yes to? Now, I know that can feel like something that you were eagerly and excited to do when you offered to volunteer or were, elected onto a board. But I also know that one commitment then creates another commitment and another commitment and another commitment. And before you know it, it's a runaway train. And the weight of that is on your calendar. I have experienced that myself. I've had to step away from lots of relationships, mastermind groups, serving on boards, letting that time be what it was. It was amazing. And then I had to say, no, thank you for the next term, or no, thank you for the next season. I want you to ask it through the lens of, is there anything that you wouldn't do if it wasn't out of guilt? I want you to do the things that are genuinely out of alignment. And sometimes we've said yes to things thinking we were saying yes to one thing, and then it snowballs into something bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's completely okay to redefine those boundaries, redefine and get clarity on what you did say yes to and what you are willing to do. And that feels more in alignment and is energy giving versus energy depleting. Every commitment takes energy, even the ones that seem so small. And when you're holding on to too many, there's no space left over for what actually matters. The next area I want to cover is marketing and visibility. Are you showing up on platforms because you think you're supposed to, even though it feels like a chore and doesn't produce any results, like no ROI to speak of? I have let go of many platforms over the years. First, it was X, previously known as Twitter. It was Facebook groups, then it was Facebook. I have revisited this one question many, many times in my business. Are you doing marketing activities because someone told you it's quote unquote what works, even though it doesn't feel right for you or your business? Are you getting an ROI? Can you see? Now, with marketing, you got to be careful. The ROI is often very long-term. And so we can get into these long-term commitments with certain marketing strategies. But I really want you to just first start out with, does it feel like it's in alignment with the way that you want to show up for your business, with your business, to market to the world and let them know what it is you do and how you can help them? Not every platform deserves your presence. Not every tactic is for you. I want you to let go of these marketing and visibility commitments that aren't serving you so that you can double down on what actually works. Doing a couple marketing strategies consistently and doubling down on what is working is always going to be better than scattering your energy, your time, and your attention amongst many, many strategies. The next category for externally letting go is processes and how we've always done it. I want you to really take a look at how you operate your business. Are there processes that you keep doing simply because, wait for it, that's just how it's always been done? I can't tell you how many times I've heard this. When I used to do consulting prior to private coaching, when I would sit down with each employee at different companies, I would ask them why they do this, why do they do that, why is this done this way? And what I would hear over and over again is, that's just how we've always done it. Workflows that are inefficient but familiar, meaning the way in which you've done things are just so familiar that it's comfortable, and it feels so uncomfortable to challenge that in the pursuit of more efficiency, because your business may have outgrown with certain processes, whether your skill sets, you've added new technology stacks, your team has evolved. There's a lot of reasons why workflow should be revisited and let go of anything that feels heavy. There are many times that I look at processes in my business that we do on repeat and ask, is that even needed anymore? Where can we cut it? We thought this was a good little micro strategy. We thought this step was needed. We thought that step was needed. I might look at a process for the sheer reason of how many steps can we cut out of this process and still get the same or similar results. Sometimes the way you've always done something isn't exactly what's going to take you to the next level. Now, here's something that I really want you to hear. Letting go doesn't happen when circumstances magically change. It happens when you make the decision. The relief that you're looking for, the relief that I'm telling you is on the other end, it doesn't come after the team member is gone, after the client's been offboarded, after the project is officially canceled. It comes from the moment you decide. So you can decide that right here and right now, and then execute on it into 2026. I've seen business owners sit in indecision for months, sometimes even years, carrying the weight of something that they knew they needed to release. And all that time, they're suffering. They're literally robbing themselves of joy. They are stressing themselves. They're dividing their time and their energy and their attention. And not because of the thing itself, but because they haven't decided. The decision is to release. When you finally say, I am done carrying this, that's when the weight lifts. That's when you get your energy back. That's when you can finally move forward. That's often, in my experience, the time in which the how comes to mind. So first the decision, and then once you've made that decision, it becomes so much clearer on how to execute on that decision. If you're feeling clouded by what are the next steps? How do I execute that? If I let this person go, how am I going to do this, like your brain can just spiral. And what I find is that once you've made the decision and that is no longer on the table, your brain can start focusing on coming up with the how, the strategy, the solution. So if there is something that you have been holding on to, waiting for the quote unquote right time or the right circumstances to let go of, maybe the right time is right now. Maybe the only thing standing between you and relief is the decision. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to bring this all together for you. We've covered a lot of ground, and we covered things from internal weight that you're carrying to the external commitments that may have you running all over the place and overwhelmed, or they have simply just run their course. And I know some of this may have hit really close to home. So what I want to leave you with is this. Letting go isn't giving up. It is not failure. It is not weakness. Letting go is leadership. It's wisdom. it's the most generous thing you can do for yourself and your business. Because when you release what no longer serves you internally or externally, you make room for what's next. The right beliefs, the right commitments, the right people, the right opportunities. You create the business and life that you actually want. That's the true gift of letting go, and it's the only one that you can give yourself. And today, I wanted to create this episode so that you can give yourself in this season, this holiday season, that you can give yourself this gift that you deserve. As you head into the final weeks of this year, I want you to remember this. You don't have to carry everything into 2026. You get to choose what comes with you and what you finally set down. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast, and I sure hope you found today's conversation about letting go to be incredibly valuable and inspires you to take action. No change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So before the year ends, I want you to identify just one thing to release. Just one. You can choose internal, you can choose external. And if you should want to, you could pick one in each category. But really, from today's episode, taking action could look like one thing. Maybe it's a belief that has been weighing you down. Maybe it's a commitment that's no longer aligned. Maybe it's a decision that you have been avoiding for far too long. Whatever it is, I want you to name it. I want you to write it down and give yourself permission to let it go. Now, at the time of this recording, I have not yet done my business planning retreat in Nashville. We're a few days out. But at that retreat, I have planned a burning ceremony. And I am going to be doing this exact exercise with the group of ladies who have joined me for that retreat. And I'm going to have them write a note to themselves of what they are wanting to let go of. And then symbolically, we're going to burn it and release it. If you want to do that, and you can do it with yourself, you can do it with a business friend, you can do it with your spouse, you can do it with a girlfriend, go ahead and take that extra step. I think that really making this a moment, not just a fleeting moment, but a real moment of intention is incredibly powerful as you move into 2026. And if you would also love to let me know what you're letting go of, I personally would love to hear from you. I truly would. I don't care what it is that you're deciding to let go, just the fact that I can talk to you, DM me, we can message. I know that you're a listener, and I know that this episode hit home for you. So you don't already follow me on Instagram, you can do that at Amber_De La Garza. DM me what you are deciding to let go of moving into 2026. I would love to cheer you on. If today's episode resonated with you, if you have found yourself nodding along, recognizing the beliefs, expectations, or commitments you've been carrying, but you're not sure how to actually move through letting go, that is the exact kind of work that I do with my clients. I help business owners get clear on what's holding them back, make the hard decisions, and create space that they need to grow. Without guilt, without second guessing, without staying stuck in the same cycle year after year. So if you're ready to head into 2026 with real clarity and a partner to help you get there, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to chat with you about my private coaching. And you can do that by scheduling a discovery call at amberdelagarza.com/call. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/call. And if you've enjoyed this episode or this podcast, please share it with a fellow business owner. Give them the gift of listening and getting the insights, the inspiration, the strategies to help them in their business. Share it far and wide. I would appreciate it. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.